Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, the 23rd of July, and we're talking about doTERRA essential oils and communication. The reason this topic is specifically important is that in all walks of life, whether you're a parent or you're a sharer of doTERRA essential oils, or you have another sort of career, communication, especially in today's day and age, is very important. Whether you are looking at someone eye to eye, or you're talking to them on the telephone, or perhaps you're using another sort of device to communicate with people, you want to make sure that your communication is effective and that you're sending the message that you intend to. So we want to make sure that as you're listening to today's presentation, that you're taking a few notes or maybe taking some photographs of the screen. And this presentation will be available to everyone on the two websites where we always post it. Yo Oils alumni, Oil Camp alumni, and also doTERRA team, doTERRA Diamond team. So take a look at the playback if you need to, or spread it around also if you need to. And I'm going to actually share my screen with you right now. Okay, so today's presentation is actually part of a four-part series. This is part 3 of a four-part series, the A, B, C's, and D's of essential oil usage and sharing. And this is part 3. We've been listening over the last few weeks as we went through our paces, if you will. The first was essential oils for appearance. How are you showing up if you are sharing essential oils? And also, how are essential oils are all essential oils exactly what they appear? Part 2 was about behavior. Are you using your essential oils consistently to get the results that you want? And then also, is your behavior consistent with your desire to grow your team if you are sharing? So those two aspects. And we didn't talk too much about essential oils last week, specific essential oils. This week, we're going to talk a lot about essential oils, specifically the essential oils that were made available to us last week as part of the BOGOs. So I want to welcome all of you, whether you are joining us from Southeast Asia, good evening. If you're joining us from Europe, good afternoon. And if you're joining us from the United States, good morning. Thank you for being on today. I think this is going to be a really exciting talk, and you're going to get a lot of information that you might not have had before. Okay, so communication. When we think about communication, I want you to think specifically about the 3 questions that are written here. Are you learning more about oils and how they can help you to communicate? How do you find new ideas when you are stuck, which is important because communication is all about not being stuck. And then finally, if you are sharing, how you communicate can help or stop others from learning about oils. So what's your communication style, and is it helping your team to grow, or are you basically causing your team to shrink or maybe not grow at all? And that both of those things are very important. You want to make sure that your communication style is consistent with the message that you want to send, and essential oils can help you communicate on all levels. So let's first talk about Monday, July 16th. We had 3 different oils that were offered. So if you purchased in Singapore and Malaysia, if you purchased spearmint, you got a free lime and a tangerine. If you purchased lavender peace, you got a free lavender. So those are the first oils we're going to talk about. But let's talk about 10 communication skills for workplace success. And when I talk about workplace success, I also want to talk about life success. So if you're not sharing essential oils, but maybe you're not communicating that well in your family, you want to look at these 10 workplace skills, 10 communication skills. So let's get started. So the first 2 I'm going to call listening and nonverbal communication. And you can see in my little cartoon there, the patient is pointing his finger at the doctor, and the doctor doesn't look that happy. And he's saying, I would be a lot healthier if you'd stop finding things wrong with me. And so the doctor's probably thinking, oh my goodness, part of the reason why I keep finding things wrong is this man doesn't take care of himself, but he's not saying anything. But certainly the nonverbal communication is there. The pointed finger, the kind of grouchy face, neither one of them is very happy. So if you're listening well, Oftentimes people come into conversation thinking only about what they plan to say. And while that's fine if you're doing a webinar like I am, this is not a conversation, it's not so great when you're trying to actually communicate with other people. While forming those words, the other half of the conversation, the part you should be listening to, gets lost. Active listening involves paying attention to what the other person is saying, asking clarifying questions, and rephrasing what the other person says to make sure you are understood. You may find that your responses become more appropriate for having listened more carefully. And then nonverbal communication. You want to look at your body language, your eye contact, your hand gestures, and tone all have an effect on how your message is received. A relaxed, open stance and a friendly tone will make you appear more approachable and help people feel more comfortable speaking candidly with you. I just want to mention, you may actually try the next time you're standing in front of someone and listening to them, instead of either holding your hands in front of yourself, which many of us do, we clasp our hands in front, or sometimes we clasp our hands behind because we think that that might make us a little bit open. I'm going to challenge you to just let your arms hang at their sides. It's actually fairly tricky to do, but it is a learned skill and you can learn it. It shows that you're open, that you're listening, that you don't have another agenda, and that you're not ready to jump off and run away the minute the person finishes speaking. So try it for the next time you're speaking with someone. Just let your hands hang at their sides. Okay, so let's talk about Monday. We have a couple of different oils here that we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about all 5 days of BOGOs. Some of them will be overlapping from day to day, but I'm only going to go through those oils once. So for Monday, I'm going to talk about spearmint, lime, tangerine, lavender peace, and lavender. And for those of you who are on from the United States, lavender peace is what you and I would call serenity. And you want to make sure that you're not looking for a lavender peace oil. It's just a name change, folks. In Asia, instead of calling lavender peace, in the US, we call it serenity. So let's talk about spearmint first. For greater focus, and we need focus to be able to communicate appropriately, you want to apply spearmint to the back of the neck and under the nose. You can diffuse for depression or fatigue, and you can apply to temples or back of the neck for headaches, and use it in place of peppermint. We think of spearmint sometimes as a more mild peppermint or one of the more mild mints in the mint family. Great to use on children. If you are having difficulty with depression or fatigue, you want to make sure that you're carrying something like this with you during the day. It's going to be hard for you to communicate if you're not feeling up to snuff. And being able to alleviate some of those feelings on a regular basis is going to help you to communicate better. For lime, for memory and clarity, you want to apply it or diffuse it. For exhaustion or depression, apply to the ears or back of neck to energize and uplift, and use for emotional balance. You can massage it over an area of discomfort or take in a capsule to increase antioxidants and decrease inflammation. So that last sentence there is actually a brand new one for me. I had never thought of lime as relieving as being an anti-inflammatory, but it actually is quite a good one. And I've tried to actually add a drop or two of lime to my deep blue rub, and I'm finding that it gives a wonderful smell and also a lot of relief. If you're feeling pain or inflammation or discomfort, another reason why you're not going to be communicating well, using lime on a regular basis can help for emotional balance. The good news about lime is that it can be taken in water, so you can use it as a refreshing drink. When you do apply it to your skin and you are going out into the sun, you want to make sure that you're applying it on parts of your body that are not going to be exposed to the sun, because it can cause sun sensitivity. Tangerine can be used as an antioxidant, an immune booster, and cell protector. You can take it in water, just like lime, in a capsule or under the tongue. Overthinking and feeling stuck, You can diffuse it or inhale it from cupped hands. Apply under the nose or across the forehead. For edema or cellulite massage, massage into the area of concern, take in water or in a capsule. The reason I add edema or cellulite here is because sometimes edema can be caused by physical conditions, but sometimes we see edema or swelling or lack of circulation can also be our feelings of feeling stuck, which is what we talk about there in the second sentence. Cellulite, I know ladies, you want to make sure that you're looking your best all the time. I hear from some of you, how do I get rid of cellulite? Well, one of the things that we talk about when we talk about using essential oils for massage is helping us to feel our best. And that also helps us to get out there and really communicate well. When you feel good and you look good, you're more likely to get out there and feel energized and want to talk to people about how your good health is due to using essential oils. Let's talk a little bit about lavender peace. Of course, for sleep issues, you want to apply it to the soles of the feet and under the nose. And of course, you can apply it to your pillow. You can also diffuse it. But I also want you to think to apply it to sunburns, burns, or scars. You can also apply it to bug bites or hives as a natural antihistamine. Again, when we've been out in the sun too much, we have discomfort on our skin, it's going to be hard for us to feel comfortable in our skin and be able to communicate. I know even the tiniest sunburn or just burn can be so uncomfortable. How much better to be able to apply this right onto the skin to get relief. And then finally, lavender, of course. But here's an interesting use of lavender for high blood pressure. You want to try using it on the pulse points and over the heart daily or in a capsule. Now, there are many, many uses for lavender, as you know, including as an antihistamine and for skin and for relaxation. But this is kind of an interesting one, and I think speaks more to our topic today, which is communication. If your blood pressure is high, if you feel frustrated all the time, if you're getting angry on a regular basis, number one is you want to try to relax. And then if there is some sort of a medical or physical condition that's causing you to feel these very tense, frustrated feelings, you want to apply your lavender really on a daily basis to help relieve some of the frustration and tension. And certainly go see your doctor. If you're experiencing high blood pressure or high blood pressure symptoms, you definitely want to have that checked. Okay, our next two communication points, clarity and concision. Clarity and friendliness. So let's talk about, clarity and concision and friendliness. So when we talk about being clear and concise, so clarity and concision, I know that's kind of a clumsy word, folks. I looked for another word, but I kind of got stuck on this one because I thought it portrayed the image and the concept that I wanted. When we're talking to someone else, we want to keep it short. So if you're a person who does presentations on a regular basis, you want to make sure that you're valuing everyone's time. Try to boil it down to really the essence and then allow people to ask questions. We don't want to have 4-hour or 2-hour presentations. Now, I clearly understand if you're teaching a difficult concept, you may run over, but then you have the buy-in of the people that you have invited to your presentation. So I know many of you recently were trained in the AromaTouch technique, or you were trained as AromaTouch trainers. And I know for many of you, you spent hours, really days, preparing, arriving, and then in the class itself. But you were clearly aware of what was going to be happening and how much time it would take. So you bought into the concept. But when you first begin to talk to someone about essential oils, you want to make sure that you are valuing their time. So the world we live in offers many distractions. Keeping your message short and to the point may help in how it's received. You want to say what you want clearly and directly, whether you're speaking to someone in person, on the phone, or via email. If you ramble, your listeners will either tune you out or will be unsure of exactly what was the goal of the conversation. And the reason I put clarity and friendliness together is because sometimes when we're trying to be short and to the point, we can actually seem rude. You want to make sure that you read over your communications and perhaps add a word or two, even if it seems redundant. And I sometimes have this conversation with my kids. They'll say to me, "Mom, why do you put so many words in your text messages? Why can't you make it shorter?" I don't make it shorter because I know when I'm communicating with people that hardly know me, they may actually misconstrue my shortness as rudeness or as anger or frustration. So I make the extra effort to add those few words to convey my tone. I work with people sometimes, and they'll show me communications that they've received on the phone, and they're really mad. They look at the communication, they read it once, and they think, "Oh, what a nerve that person had to send me that communication." When I read it, maybe I don't read into the situation as strongly as they did because I'm not personally involved, but I clearly understand that a few additional words here and there could have helped to smooth ruffled feathers. We want to go fast, we want to be clear, but we also want to be friendly. So through a friendly tone, a personal question, or simply a smile, your coworkers and friends will feel more comfortable speaking to you openly and honestly. This can be important in both face-to-face communication and written communication. Personalizing your messages in email or text can help the recipients become more receptive to the rest of the text. A simple "have a great weekend" can go a long way. I'm also going to invite you to have some sort of a greeting, even when you are texting. Many of you know, even if I text you every day or several times a day, I'll frequently start with "hello again," or "hi, how are you?" or "how is your day going?" It's not my job to bark orders at people or bark questions at them. If I'm in the middle of a long text conversation, I don't have to keep texting greetings. But if I'm introducing myself again, or I'm contacting someone after a long period of time, it makes sense for me to say something friendly first, so they clearly understand that whatever I'm going to talk about next is really a friendly rejoinder and not an angry question about some of their performance or something that happens. And I encourage you to do the same. Now, I realize clearly, folks, that some of this can be cultural. And whether you are in Southeast Asia or you're in the United States or in Europe, each and every culture has its own way of communicating, but I'm going to ask you to consider whether or not you can become a little bit more friendly in your communications and really smooth some ruffled feathers, because I will admit that I have heard some tense conversations by text message, which really did not have to go that far. They could have been boiled back a little bit. So let's really work on friendliness and being clear. Okay, so our Tuesday BOGOs were our additional Tuesday BOGOs were frankincense touch and on guard touch. So of course, frankincense touch for immune support, liver detoxification. We're going to apply to the soles of the feet or over the area of concern, namely the liver. And for those of you who know me know that I didn't even know where my liver was or how big it was when I first started working with essential oils. A quick look on Google can show you exactly where the liver is located. It's sort of around the midsection, and it's quite big, almost the size of a U.S. Football or a rugby ball, if you're more familiar with that. You want to apply it right onto the liver. Why do we talk about detoxification, specifically the liver, when we're talking about communication? We talk about detoxification of the liver because it's one of our filtering organs. And if your liver is stuck, or you're feeling sluggish, or you're not able to filter toxins out of your body, it's going to be difficult for you to communicate. You're going to feel that lethargic, sluggish feeling. The other thing is, are you able to take some time by yourself for prayer or meditation? You want to apply frankincense touch under your nose and at the back of your neck during those times that you're regrouping, reconnecting with your source, and then maybe refocusing. So are you going into a meeting? Are you going to be preparing a presentation? Do you need to focus on an intense conversation? I want you to really think about how we can put down other distractions and focus on the thing in front of us. We've been led to believe that multitasking is a wonderful thing, but really multitasking just dilutes our energies and doesn't help us to be more effective. And I am the biggest offender. If you have ever been with me for any period of time, very often I'm trying to do 10 things at once. And I find that sometimes when I travel, it actually gets better because I don't have the distractions that I have when I'm back in my normal environment, that I'm trying to drive and put on lipstick and listen to a webinar and make a telephone call and send a voice text all at the same time. It's really not smart to try to do all those things at once. It really makes sense to just settle down and really concentrate. Here's the other thing that we want to think about. When you are in front of a live person, put down your phone, put it away. Studies show that even just having the telephone on the tabletop, whether or not it's ringing, can actually send a message to the person that you're with that they are unimportant. And that's the last thing that we want to send. So put your phone in your pocket, put it behind you in your chair, but don't make it almost like a barrier between you and the person with whom you are communicating. Let's talk a little bit about On Guard Touch. You want to apply it to the soles of your feet daily for immune support, and apply to chest or throat for a sore throat or a cough. And certainly if you have a sore throat or a cough, you're not going to be able to communicate well. If your immune system is compromised in any way, you're feeling a little bit cold or flu-ish, again, communication is going to be hindered. Okay, let's talk now about confidence and empathy. I love this photo because it shows a little bit of both. These men are definitely confident, but the taller man, or the man who's standing more erect, is showing empathy to the other. He's teaching him. He's helping to straighten his arm and show him really that he's mindful that the other man wants to get better, and they're working together in harmony. So even though there's a sense of strength and confidence, they're even their posture very angular, very erect, but that they're working together in harmony. So exuding confidence can be as simple as maintaining eye contact or using a firm but friendly tone. Be aware of your inflection, especially if you speak more than one language. What sounds fine in one language can be inappropriate in another. In English, be careful your statements do not come out sounding like questions. Naturally, it's important to be confident without seeming arrogant or aggressive. So in English, sometimes I hear this more with young people, not as much with working people. They'll begin to say, I went to the store today, with that kind of raising of the inflection at the end because they are feeling not so confident. And if you are a person who does this, I don't hear it a lot in this group, but you may have heard some people on your teams doing it. You want to help the person to end a statement as a statement and ask a question as a question. But be mindful, many of the people on this call speak 2 and 3 languages. Be mindful of the nuances, the vocabulary, the stress on different syllables. Certain languages are very staccato and don't have a lot of connector words. Some languages are very flowery. I think of French perhaps, or German in that regard. Even English can have a lot of adjectives and flowery language if we choose to use it. But it's also in any language easy to bark out commands. And while you may sound confident, you can also be very off-putting. And I want you to think about that when you're talking to people within your team, with new customers, with your upline and your downline. Don't make your communication in one language sound like it does in another language. So I'm going to tell you a little story about my husband. My husband speaks a few languages. And 2 languages that he speaks are actually very similar. One is Spanish and the other is Portuguese. In Spanish, especially when you're comfortable with the language, it can be very staccato and quick, almost like barking out little commands. And the ends of the syllables can be very clipped. And we tend to just erase certain letters and syllables because it's like a shorthand. In Portuguese, however, specifically Portuguese from Brazil, there's more of a sing-songy cadence and more of a nasal aspect to the language, which helps to draw out certain consonants and syllables so that if you speak Portuguese with a Spanish accent, you sound a little bit forced or you sound a little bit almost nasty. So you want to make sure that you're getting the cadence right. If you speak several languages, talk to someone or listen to native speakers, maybe listen to the radio and see if you can begin to imitate the cadence of the people that are speaking in their native tongue. Let's talk a little bit about empathy, which I think we're seeing also here in this photograph. Handling a disagreement with a customer or team member can sometimes be tricky. It's important to understand and respect their view. Use phrases like, I understand where you're coming from, to help them understand that you're listening and you respect their opinions. If your customers or team members understand that you empathize with their problems, they will more readily work with you on resolution of the disagreement. And for leaders out there, I will tell you, the people that you work with on your teams are really a volunteer army. If you have even one person on your team, that person is there by choice and not by command. You don't have the right to fire that person. You didn't hire them either. And so you want to treat them with respect. And I clearly understand that some people are more prickly than others. There are some people that we have difficulty communicating with, but I'm going to ask you this year, especially between now and convention, so now in September, to make the effort to adjust your communications, folks. It really will help you to change. If you're a very shy person and you are continuously apologizing for what it is you did or didn't do, or for the way you worked or didn't work, I'm going to ask you to work on confidence. Because I know that some of you tend to say, well, I'm not good at this and I'm not good at that and I didn't get this done, I didn't get that done. I'm going to challenge you to begin to change your own internal dialogue and to really exhibit as much confidence as you can. If it's even for the benefit of your family or your coworkers, if you don't do this as a sharing profession, you want to make sure that you are using all the skills at hand to be able to make yourself more effective. Okay, let's talk about Wednesday's oils. Tea tree, marjoram, and TerraShield spray. So Melaleuca, also for some of you. For cavities and gum disease, you want to use it in a capsule or swish between teeth with water. Almost like a mouth rinse, if you will. And the reason I specifically brought up that that usage is because if you had cavities or gum disease, it would be very hard for you to communicate. You want to apply it to skin for cleansing and healing. And again, if you're having any sort of a skin issue, whether it's blemishes or cuts and burns, tea tree or Melaleuca is the essential oil for you. Marjoram, you want to apply for migraines and headaches. Massage it onto the back of the neck, along the hairline and the temples. What I like about marjoram is it doesn't have that kind of wafting property that peppermint does, which is why it's nice for a headache. You want to rub it on the back of the neck or the soles of the feet, or diffuse it to become calm, relieve stress or anxiety. And here's an interesting one. How would TerraShield spray possibly have to do with communication, right? It seems crazy, but it is our repellent blend, and it has catnip, amyris, sandalwood, balsam, orange, white fir, cedarwood, citronella, and eucalyptus, among a few other things, really. You can spray it on surfaces or exposed areas to repel bugs and insects. And certainly if you were doing some sort of a presentation or talking to someone and you're plagued with insects, it would be hard to communicate. But listen to this. You can apply it or diffuse it to strengthen your resolve and boundaries. So that's really kind of interesting. Let's say you're going into a class and you're feeling kind of shaky. Could you spray it on yourself? Or if you're going to talk to a difficult person, could you spray it around yourself and kind of walk through it to be able to strengthen your resolve and the boundaries that you need to keep with that other person? Again, all about communication. Okay, two more. Open-mindedness and respect. It pays to keep an open mind, folks, but not so open that your brains fall out. And that's what Carl Sagan says. So you want to keep an open mind, but let's not get crazy about this. Make sure that we're thinking always about the other person and being respectful, but not beginning to bend in our character and with our good name. You want to have good communication because it leans heavily on participants entering conversation with flexible, open minds. Listen and try to understand the other person's point of view. active listening rather than focusing solely on getting your own messages across. It's easier to have honest, productive conversation where you're willing to enter into dialogue. And I realize there are some situations that are just hot, and you want to try to cool down before you have those communications. So respect. People will be more comfortable communicating with you if you can convey your respect for them and their ideas, using a person's name, making eye contact, and actively listening. So we're talking about listening again, and again to a person as they speak, makes them feel appreciated. Put down the phone. Take it off the table. If you're on the phone with someone, avoid distractions. Stay off Facebook. Try and get to a quiet area and stay focused on the conversation. Convey respect via email by editing your message for grammatical and spelling errors. And if you are angry, don't send written communications at all. You need time to cool down, folks. I see many of you picking up the phone and typing out whatever comes into your head and then continuing to type until really an explosion has happened. So I want to make sure that we're just resting and stepping away and not communicating in a written way when we are angry. We want to be able to breathe and refocus. I also want to mention here when we're talking about staying focused on a conversation, my daughter actually, who's a college student, works in sales, and one of the things that they do on a regular basis is something they call a phone jam. And if you've never had a phone jam, it's actually a lot of fun. It's what I used to call a deep work session, where everybody would get together and do the same thing at the same time. And we've had text blitzes, and phone jam is really more of the same. It's the idea that everyone in the room is doing the same thing at the same time. What's neat about a phone jam, though, is that the only thing you're concentrating on is calling. You're finding a phone connection, you're getting the number of the person, you have your script ready to go, and you're calling that person. You're not also looking at videos, you're not checking Facebook, you don't have a book open next to you. It's you, the person, and maybe the script that you have ready to talk to about that person, whether you're leaving messages or talking to the people live. And I like the idea of really concentrating when you're on the phone. Have you ever been on the phone and you start talking to someone and then all of a sudden you realize you're off on a tangent and the line has cut off? Part of that has to do with not listening and not engaging the other person and just being in your own blah, blah, blah. But I want you to really think about being open-minded, being respectful of other people, and concentration. Okay, now let's talk about Thursday's essential oils, again, for communication. Passion, our inspiring blend. And the reason I put the secondary names there, folks, is because I know that some of you are using books where only the secondary name is being used. I want to make sure that we're always searching for the correct blend. This includes cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, clove, sandalwood, and jasmine. And you want to use it to eliminate apathy, mental fog, or memory issues. You can also diffuse it. You can apply it to the wrists, back of neck, and soles of the feet. Slim and Sassy, our metabolic blend, includes grapefruit, lemon, peppermint, ginger, cinnamon. I'm going to take 5 drops up to 5 times daily in water or in a capsule to assist with weight loss or a slow metabolism. You want to apply to the soles of the feet as a lymphatic system and support. So again, our lymphatic system is our system of drainage, removing toxins from all of our organs. Applying Slim and Sassy to the soles of the feet, and also maybe on any of the glands of the body, so under the arms or on the pulse points, can help us to, or on the neck, can help us to cleanse our lymphatic system and support it. And finally, Jasmine Touch. You want to try it to relieve depression, anxiety, or exhaustion, applying it to the neck, soles of the feet, and back of the neck, soles of the feet, and apply to cupped hands and inhale deeply. For women, you want to apply it over the abdomen to regulate hormones, relieve PMS or low libido. And for women especially, if your hormones are something that affect you adversely, you want to be mindful of the fact that during that time of the month that you're not, if you are feeling angry or frustrated, that you're using your essential oils to help you to feel more balanced. Okay, feedback and picking the right medium. So feedback, you want to provide constructive feedback, and that's an important communication skill. Giving feedback involves giving praise as well as giving suggestions on how to optimize performance. Keep your focus on motivation and efficiency. If you receive criticism, ask clarifying questions and make efforts to implement the feedback. If your customer doesn't understand how to use something, find a different way to communicate with maybe perhaps a video, audio, or other written communication. I do find in our busy world today that it's difficult for people to concentrate. We want to make sure that we're giving them the key to the door that unlocks the door. And if they're not able to read, many people don't want to read. They don't know how to read. They don't grasp what they have read. They have poor retention of what they've read. You want to offer them another means of communication. Very often videos are good, or audio of other sorts. Picking the right medium, an important communication skill is to simply know what form of communication is best. For example, for serious conversations, try to speak with the person face to face. Keep the person you're trying to communicate with in mind. If they're typically very busy, you may want to send them a message through email first, perhaps, to ask when you can schedule. If you broach the topic face to face, but there's a lot of details involved, it may be best to send a follow-up email with an outline of what was covered and what your expectations are. Ask someone less involved to review what you've written before you send it. Don't throw a hand grenade in a text message and expect that there won't be damage caused. So picking the right medium is super important. And maybe it means switching from medium to medium before you actually begin to communicate or during the communication process. Okay, finally, Friday. We've got a lot of essential oils here. We've got Console Touch, which is our reassuring blend, containing vetiver, lavender, ylang-ylang, frankincense, clary sage, marjoram, and spearmint for emotional release and reassurance. Apply it to the heart, shoulders, and the soles of the feet. For low libido, apply to the abdomen. And I mention libido because if we are frustrated in our interactions with others, especially those close to us, it's going to be hard for us to communicate. And that feeling of frustration or anger or lack of closeness is going to also spill over to other areas of our lives. Forgive Touch, our renewing blend, including spruce, bergamot, juniper, myrrh, arborvitae, and thyme. Forgive yourself and others. Apply Forgive to your heart, temples, bottoms of the feet. At the end of your day, you want to remove spiritual and emotional toxicity. So I would be applying Console and Forgive every night, especially Forgive. It's important for us to begin to forgive ourselves and to forgive others, because we know that holding on to anger or frustration is like holding on to a hot coal and expecting somebody else to get burned. We want to be able to move on and just continue on with our lives. Cypress, you want to apply to areas of concern to improve circulation, relieve edema or swelling. If you have poor circulation, again, going to be hard to communicate that feeling of getting stuck or being frustrated. Cedarwood, hard to communicate again if you don't sleep well. Get a deep, restful snooze every night. Apply to the spine, soles of the feet, or diffuse. On Guard, a protective blend with wild orange, clove, cinnamon, eucalyptus, and rosemary. You're in the good health business, folks, so you want to stay healthy and promote your immune system and support your immune system, applying On Guard to the soles of your feet and to the soles of the feet of your entire family every day. I think I have a mismodified sentence there. You're applying to your entire family, to the soles of the feet of your entire family, not your entire family from top to bottom every day. Oh my, I'm getting silly now. Okay, and finally, On Guard foaming hand wash. Keep your hands clean and fresh and ready to shake hands. Human touch is important, and no one wants to shake a sweaty, dirty palm. So that's my presentation for today. Those of you, oh no, it's not. I have a few more things to say to you. Okay, so we talked about where do you find information if you're stuck? How do you communicate if you're stuck? Okay, this is one of my favorite books, The Essential Oils Healthcare for Today. Not just because I'm a co-author, but because I think it works. It's a beginner's guide. It's going to help you to give your clients and friends a 90-day plan. So we're looking at your LRP, which in this case is your cheat sheet. Each issue is covered over 2 pages, describing the issue on the far left, and then giving you suggestions for 3 months of essential oils on your right. And as you can see, we use the secondary names, not the primary or trademark names on the cheat sheet, which makes it important for us to kind of learn those names or be able to look them up easily. You can look them up on Google, of course, if you really get stuck. But using the LRP book can help you to help others to resolve the problems that they have. The other place that we always get information is from the website. The US website, doTERRA, www.doTERRA.com, has tons of information. If you see that top bar along the top that says products, company, caring, and advocates, under each and every one of those tabs, there's tons of information about essential oils in particular, how to use them, how to incorporate them into your life, videos, ebooks. You really can't go wrong. I don't want you to fall down the rabbit hole and get on there and never get off. But if you're looking for information or you're trying to point someone in the right direction, try using one of those tabs and sending a person some information. The other thing is you don't have to log in. So even if your local website is not the doTERRA US site, you can use the site freely to find information. Okay, the Essential Life book. Many of you know and are familiar with this book, and many of the ideas that I talked about today came from this book. It has terrific organization, lots of color pictures. I recommend it highly. It is my preferred book right now for giving as a gift and also providing information. I have used other books in the past, and I know you have too, but right now this is my favorite book, hands down. There are also some specialty books. If you're looking for books about babies, pregnancy, birth, and babies, you want to find books that are going to work specifically for you. Talk to your upline if you have a specific condition or something that you're dealing with. Try to find specific books with experienced authors. Stephanie Fritz, this book has been on the market, oh my goodness, I don't even know how many years, but a long, long time, and something that I've used many times and recommend quite frequently to people who have questions about essential oils and these particular issues. If you're dealing with pets, my favorite book, hands down, is Spoil Your Pet by my 2 friends, Mia and Jan, Mia Frezzo and Jan Jeremias. Mia is actually a veterinarian, and Jan is a pet lover or animal lover extraordinaire, and the 2 of them have written this wonderful book. If you're giving advice to people on pets, whether you have a pet or not, as I said before, seek out information and guidance from reference sources. It's very easy to pick up the phone or type in a website or a chat group, hey, can you help me with this, that, or the other thing? But if it's the middle of the night, you want to know where you can find information. Also, use your apps. 2 of my favorite are the Daily Drop app, which is prepared by doTERRA. What I like about it is each and every day you can get 1 drop. What's interesting is what you can't do is get on there and try to watch 100 videos at once. So the short videos are simple, and you can do small challenges. And whenever you have free time, you can watch a short video and get to know a little bit more about essential oil usage and have some more knowledge in just a few minutes. And then finally, Modern Essentials. I like the app more than I like the book, folks. I think the app at your fingertips is really terrific. The book for me is a little bit, it's not pretty. And so I don't want to have anything around that makes me feel like, oh, this is too hard to use. But you can use the search function to find quick details about a particular ailment, essential oil or blend, or application method. And yes, this is the granddaddy of books. And I know some of you love this book and recommend it. But I think for me, at least, Essential Life, because it is beautiful and fresh, just makes me want to use it, and I think makes me want to recommend it as well. So those are my recommendations this week for communication. I'm going to stop the share. And I don't know if some of you know or don't know, but today's prize is going to be a bottle of, a bottle of DDR Prime. Yes, exactly. DDR Prime to help you to have clear and smart communication. So this is a really big deal. Clear and smart communication. And our winners today, hold on one second, let me get a piece of paper. I know I've been on a long time. I've been chit-chatting a lot here because I had a lot to say, but I think I answered everyone's questions. If you have additional questions about the essential oils that I mentioned, please type them in the chat box below in the chat. And our two winners today of a DDR Prime are okay, our two winners today are Shur Yun and Yuki Go. Shur Yun and Yuki Go, you are the winners of a DDR Prime. Thank you for having been on today. Our next week's conversation, the last one in our 4-part series, is going to be about your digital imprint. Your digital imprint. And what imprint are you leaving behind, and what are the essential oils that are going to help you with your digital imprint and your ability to communicate effectively. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. I spent a lot of time trying to get it just right, and I hope it kind of hit the nail on the head for a lot of you. I see a lot of the people that I was hoping would be on this call are on. As I said, it's going to be recorded and posted in the days ahead. So thank you so much for having been on. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye now.